Good afternoon and welcome to the IHE-Europe monthly webinar for the month of April. So the topic of today's webinar is Plugathon as part of the IHE testing continuum. We are approaching the yearly IHE-Europe Connectathon week. Italy is hosting the Connectathon week in the beautiful city of Trieste. Plugathon will be a part of the Connectathon week, and therefore we would like to present you what a Plugathon is and what will be the offering in the beginning of June. So first of all, we would like to go over some practical details. Please keep your microphone muted during the session. You can put your questions in the chat box. We will address them towards the end of the meeting. There will be ample time to address your questions. At that time, you will also be able to unmute your microphone to speak up, to have a clearer discussion with our presenters. The webinar will be recorded and it will be made available on our YouTube channel. The previous monthly webinars are also available on our YouTube, so be sure to check this out. So as part of the Connectathon week, we also have our experience days happening on the Monday and the Tuesday. Note that early bird fees are available until the end of April. They are very beneficial. You have a 40% of discount. So please check out the website and we hope to meet you there. So here you see the schedule of the Connectathon week with the experience days on Monday and Tuesday and the Plugathons starting as from the Tuesday. Today, we have Claudio Saccavini and Arianna Cocchiglia with us from Catalyst, IHE Catalyst. They will elaborate on the Plugathons and the 4 tracks that are offered during the Connectathon week. Thank you for being with us, Claudio and Arianna. I will give the floor to you now, Claudio.
Thank you, Carlene. Thank you to all the participants to attending to this webinar. Today we are present this concept of Plugathon, that is a testing event that is included in what in IHE we call IHE Testing Continuum. My name is Claudio Saccavini. I am the Managing Director of IHE Catalyst, and with me Arianna Cocchiglia is here also from Catalyst. I am the Managing Director and Arianna is the Connectathon Manager, because from this year, IHE Catalyst support IHE-Europe and IHE USA in the organization and the hosting of the Connectathon. So during the Connectathon, the previous Connectathon on February in Chicago, the North American Connectathon, we have support organization of this Connectathon, and this year we start also with IHE-Europe to support this committee in the organization of the Connectathon. The Connectathon will be in Trieste and will be in the first week of June, sorry, of this year, of course, as Carlene has said to you. And during this Connectathon, we launched this year a very strong program about Plugathon. So next slide, please. What is a Plugathon? I remember that we start organizing IHE Plugathon during the Connectathon, the European Connectathon in Venice. If I correctly remember, was 2017. And during this first Plugathon, we will focus on the mobile application, because in this year there is a lot of requests about mobile application, and some profiles, some IHE profiles, we're starting to develop, like for example MHD and so on. So the idea of the Plugathon is to have another type of event that is not formal like the Connectathon. I explain later what is the difference between Connectathon and Plugathon. And it is very important because this type of events also have the goal to put on the same floor during the Connectathon week the users and the vendor to discuss and to test some hot topics that are not so mature to consider as a part of the Connectathon or as a part of large testing of the Connectathon. As you can see after, there is some IHE profiles that are not so popular because very few vendors implemented or very few users ask for these profiles. But one of the points is that we have to consider if these profiles are correct or not, are suitable or not for the requirement of vendors and users. And so the right place to test and discuss this topic is what we call IHE Plugathon. It's very important that during this event, users, vendors, and experts can discuss about some topics. And these topics are organized in what we call tracks. So we have a Plugathon during the Connectathon week, an IHE Plugathon, and inside the IHE Plugathon, we have organized the topics, different topics, in different tracks. Sometimes these tracks are called public. That means that everybody can register as for the Connectathon, for example. In other case, these tracks are private because the status of maturity of this topic is not so stable to discuss publicly, but is discussed inside a restricted number of participants. This is the difference that you will find in this organization of the Plugathon. And so you find that in some Plugathons you could register and you could act during this Plugathon in different ways with different type of registration. And in other tracks, you cannot register because there are private tracks. If you are interested in these private tracks, and after Arianna will show you what is the topic of these private tracks, please feel free to contact us. You find our emails, I believe, at the end of the presentation of the slide deck. And we try to interact with you to consider if you are a skilled or not person about this track. And so we try to include you in this private track. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the core. I spend a lot of sometimes in the discussion of this slide because this is the core of IHE. Because IHE, you know, is an initiative, 25 years old initiative that has the goal to put together the user needs and the vendors offering in order to speed up the adoption of the interoperability topics. So you know that IHE develops what we call some specs that we call IHE profiles. IHE profiles are organized in technical frameworks. Technical frameworks are focused on domains. So you have the technical framework of radiology, you have the technical framework for laboratory, you have technical framework for continuity of care, and so on. These profiles, the scope of this profile is to be tested before this implementation goes to the market. So the idea is to host what we call IHE Connectathon. During a Connectathon, the vendor register their system and have the opportunity to test each other all the specs. And this type of testing is a very high quality testing. It's an ISO quality testing, of course, process. And during this testing, a further part team called monitors evaluate this test in order to see if there is a conformance with the specs that are the technical frame. So at the end of the Connectathon week, if the vendor has passed all the tests that are required during the Connectathon, are in some case past the Connectathon testing. And so it's possible to the vendor to show this result during the Connectathon at the test result matrix. That is a website on which you find all the result of this type of testing. With the IHE Connectathon, we have also opened another type of event that is called Projectathon. The first Projectathon was the event sponsored by the European Commission in the EFSOS project. It's clear that Projectathon is a completely different job from the Connectathon. The specs that are tested in the Projectathon are partially coming from the IHE technical frameworks, and in other parts are coming from the local specs. So if you remember the EPSOS project, there are some parts that are completely IHE and other parts that are locally developed by the Commission. So a Projectathon is not hosted by IHE-Europe or IHE USA or IHE Japan, the national, what we call National Regional Deployment Committee in IHE, but is hosted by the owner of the project. In the case of the European Commission, the Projectathon was hosted by the European Commission, and so on. Consider that as Catalyst, we support the Projectathons very strongly. Last year, we have supporting 14 different Projectathons that are coming from the European Commission, national governments like the Swiss government, or, for example, other Projectathons that are hosted by the International Bank for a program that is called Latin American Countries Program, the LACPAS. And so this Projectathon are, so for example, use the specs for electronic health record exchange in this country. Or like 2 hours ago, when we have supported the hosting of a G20 Projectathon about the digital certificate, the COVID digital certificates. So the goal of Projectathon is to start a process of conformity of these projects. And so the government of Swiss want to have a market that passes some conformity test, and so hosted the Projectathon to allow the market to have a good approach, a speed and good approach with the interoperability specs. And this is the Projectathon. Another important point of this testing continuum is the IHE conformity assessment. Unfortunately, this is a very older program and not so popular, because in reality, the goal is to have an ISO certification about a system, a real-world system, and the specs. So in this case, the vendor asked to some qualified laboratory to make an ISO testing process of their own solution in order to have these certificates of conformance with the specs. In the last year, we had another type of event that is IHE Sharazon, very interesting and very important testing event that is a difference with Connectathon and Projectathon. IHE Sharazon is a continuum test, so it's open all the year, not for a week or for 2 weeks, for one month, and the participant to IHE Sharazon could test the display of some particular object. In this case, there are a large collection of DICOM objects, and if you participate to and register to IHE Sharazon, you could check if your software, display workstation, what you want, are able to display this type of object. Or if you are a producer of this object, you can share this object with other consumer in order to test if your object is correct or not with the standard. This is the blue part, and in this blue part, there are a very formal approach. We're talking about this type of formal approach that is ruled by ISO standards, and so it's very formal. During the Connectathon, there are some rules. If you not pass this rule, you're out of the Connectathon. This is typical approach. So with the large request of different topics in interoperability, we have also take on board in this testing continuum the part that we call enables. Enables are events, testing events, on which there are some informal testing, and the goal is to test the specs or to try to test the simulators, the validators, the infrastructure of what we will use in the IHE Connectathon, of course. There are a lot of type of enables. The most informal is, of course, the hackathon. You can have an hackathon about interoperability. There is no overseas by IHE-Europe or IHE in larger sense. It's event that could organize but everybody. And there are some example of this type of event in which a lot of users or a lot of vendors meet together in one place for 1, 2, 3 days and starting to test this very preliminary solution. Another big example is, of course, the important IHE Fire Connectathon. IHE Fire Connectathon, be careful that the word Connectathon is misused here, because in reality, it don't follows the IHE Fire Connectathon. The ISO standard of IHE Connectathon is an informal testing normally during the workgroup week, on which users, expert, and vendor have some tracks inside, and they starting the educational part, starting to discuss about the fires, starting to test. It's very important because IHE Fire is a young standard, and it's important to test the specs that they have produced. One result is the life cycle of the release of IHE Fire that has a very big influence in the IHE Fire Connectathon. IHE Plugathon are in this part. It's related to some topics that are typical of IHE. So you can have inside IHE Plugathon profiles, domain, and so on, or could be completely different approach. Arianna show you after some very interesting topics about energy, for example. During the IHE Plugathon, there is an educational part, there is a workshop, there is the testing part. So if you are familiar with the IHE Connectathon, a part of IHE Plugathon is on the Connectathon floor when you are testing, of course, and you are using all the facilities that are present in the Connectathon floor, like, for example, gazelles, simulators, validators, and so on. And is held in rooms in which we have workshops, speech, discussion, and so on. So it's a mixture of the Connectathon approach with a work group meeting we put together during this week. It's clear that the IHE Plugathon are not formal, as I just said, like the Connectathon, so there is no monitors. There are mentors during the Connectathon that support you. So if you are a company and you want to attend to the IHE Connectathon, is expecting from you that you have just developed the software, you have a pre-testing session, and then during the week is expected that the maturity of your software or system is a good maturity to allow to waste the time during testing. During the IHE Plugathon, if you are a vendor, you can attend into the Plugathon without the solution because you are interested only in the educational part, or you have your preliminary prototype and you want to test your prototype against some validators, against other vendors that have the paired actor and so on. So, or you are not a vendor, but you are a user and you want to understand the problem, give your experience in this use case, and so you attended to the workshop part, and during the testing time that, of course, if you are not involved in testing, there are some organized other parallel meetings, and so you could attend also to this parallel meeting to have a wide idea of the track in which you are registered. So there are different situations in which you could be attracted by the IHE Plugathon. For example, you are a company, you plan to participate next year or in 2 years to IHE Connectathon with this product that is implemented to profiles, but you want to start a medium testing event to test if your solution is in the right direction or not. This is the reason to be very careful. It's important, the last part, the orange part, in which we we collect the different result from these events, of course. The first and major result is the Connectathon result matrix that is related to the integration statement of the project of the companies. We add in something new this year. We add in also a Connectathon seal, an IHE Connectathon seal, that is another type of result that is more related not to the single system with the profile and the actor and the option that you have tested during the Connectathon, but is related with your capacity in managing interoperability problem. And so stay tuned on this point, because we have released the first Connectathon seal in the last North American Connectathon, and also we plan to release the next IHE-Europe Connectathon seal in Trieste. We will organize some communication, some events about the seal, probably in the May, in order to have some idea. Okay, thank you, Carlene. Next, please. As I said, this is the relationship between the Plugathon and the testing continuum. You see that there are some sessions, I summarize what I just said, that are two types, session heads by domain expert, and there are typical education and workshop sessions. And then there are the testing session. What is the evaluation? What is the result of this? What we expect is that there are some important points about the specs, about the new requirements in the profiles, or about some new profiles in some fields on which there is no profiles, of course. This is very important because after the Plugathon, we will share this result with the community, and this result are used by domains to develop the new profiles of the change proposal for the existing profiles. Next, please. So, I want to underline this point because it's very important to understand if you are eligible to register to a Plugathon, and the Plugathon is the right place to have the answer that you have. If you are, as I said, if you are a vendor and you are interested in the educational part of some IHE profiles, the Plugathon is the right place. If you are a vendor and you have some preliminary prototypes and you want to test and to share your experience with the experience of other vendors in this topic, I believe that the Plugathon is the right place. If you are a user and you want to understand better what is the future trend profiles, future usage of this profile, especially because normally tracks are bar some hot topics of interoperabilities, Plugathon are the right place for you. And so, as Arianna showed you, there are different type of registration that follow your requirement. So, for example, if you attend to Trieste, welcome board. We expect you in presence, but if you're not able to attend into Trieste, it is important for us that you give your support to us attending remote. So the Plugathons are hybrid events. Next, please. What is the benefit that we expect? We have just an experience about the mobile, but I remember that during this week in Venice, we have a very big discussion about what is the best approach to move to mobile application. And don't forget, in this year, IHE Fire was not present. It was a very, very beginning. And so the discussion is in which way we could enhance, for example, XDS to be used in the mobile domain. One of the results of this Plugathon is the approach on MHD profile, very popular. Everybody now uses MHD profiles to share clinical data in the mobile world. During this Plugathon, we are starting the discussion. We have on the floor some big companies, big player of the market, with together with some small companies that has no experience in healthcare, but has experience in the mobile world. So the mixture of different cultures, different feeling, different markets are very important during these events. On the other hand, we have representation of in this Plugathon of different category of user. I remember the presence of radiology guys, of course. They are discussing about how useful was to display imaging, radiology imaging on mobile. This is the aim of the Plugathon, to put very close the needs of the user and the solution of them. So we give the opportunity and we give our expecting in benefits are, of course, the learning experience. The hands-on testing, sometimes you have a good idea about interoperability, but if you not test this good idea, it's very difficult to understand if there is good, quite good or bad, of course. There are some nectar opportunities because during this week you have the Connectathon floor, so you can share your experience also with the participant of the Connectathon floor during the common events. And of course, you have also the opportunity to attend it not only to the Plugathons, but also to other events like the experience days or some events related to the European project. So the first goal is to provide new opportunities to expand and support further use cases. At the Connectathon in Trieste, there will be the participation probably of 20 different national or regional projects. That means that you have the opportunity attending to the Plugathon, to talking with these guys on the floor, to sharing your experience with them, and to give some feedbacks that are a very other big added value for the IHE Plugathon. Next slide, please. So this is in summary, the format of the Plugathon. It's important one thing. We don't call IHE Plugathon, but of radiology, of AI, we call IHE Plugathon, and we have tracks inside. What? Because they are different, but the idea of the Plugathon is the same in different scenarios. And this is very important. This is the response to IHE to improve and speed up the collection of the new requirement in the use case from the user and to support the change proposals that are coming from the implementers to IHE. It's important. Today, we have only in IHE life cycle, technical framework life cycle, we have only the opportunity to submit the change proposal to the technical domains or to submit a proposal for a new profile during a particular time in the year. That depends of different domains. In this way, we have a more informal, because as IHE Catalyst, we collect all these requirements and we take care that this requirement are transformed in inputs for the technical and planning committee to develop more suitable test plan. Next, please. I leave the floor now to Arianna to explain you all the different tracks in the Plugathon. Please, Arianna.
Thanks, Claudio. So now we will see more in detail the 4 tracks that will be part of this 2024 Plugathon. Can you see we have 4 tracks? The first one, June 4-5, the second one, June 5 and 6. IHE Plugathon during all week, so from Monday to Friday, and Energy Plugathon June 4, 5, and 6. The main difference between these tracks is that the first 2 will be open tracks. This means that everyone interested can register and participate, and later we will see how to register. The second 2 tracks, AI and energy tracks, are reserved for a specific community. But now let's look the track more in detail. So we can move to the first track. Yes, please. IHE profile based on HL7 fire track. The main goal of this track will have a moment of dissemination and testing on some profile based on HL7 fire, but not yet mature for the Connectathon. In particular, the focus of this year will be on some profile that can you see in the screen, but in particular, we will have AUA profile, MHD profile, MXDA profile, G-sub-M, MCSD, MADX, and IPS. The track will be divided in 2 parts. One educational session Tuesday morning and Wednesday afternoon, and 2 testing sessions, one Tuesday afternoon and the other one Wednesday morning. In the educational session, with the help of some domain experts, they will provide a general presentation of these profiles and make the user communities aware on the potential solution to common use case that can benefit from the IHE profile based on fire. The testing session, they will train vendors on how to implement IHE profile based on fire, and interactive with simulators in a no-peer environment with the support of dedicated standard tech specialists. Who is interested target of this track? Obviously, the user and the vendors that are interested in solving specific use case, or that want to understand more in details the IHE offer related to HL7 fire. The principal output of this track is increasing the knowledge of the community about the cross-link between IHE and the fire, and also prepare the vendors to move their solution implemented on this profile for the next Connectathon in the 2025. So is the first one track. We can move to the second one. Calling to the next slide, please. The second one is a European Health Data Space track. Okay, Carlene, if you move to the next one.
Yeah, but I'm showing the EHDS track, right?
Oh, yes, please. It's okay. Sorry, for the first track and the second track, the technical manager of the track and the technical coordinator will be Mauro Zanardini. So if you have any technical question or other, you can send an email to me and also to Mauro. So the second track is a European Health Data Space. The main goal of this track is explore activities related to the creation of the European Health Data Space and discover how different countries are working in preparation to it. In the educational session. In the testing session, also offer a testing environment where vendors will be able to test solution created by some countries. One of these countries will be Italian. Who is interested in this track? Obviously, companies that are interested in implementing system aimed to assess data related to the secondary data usage use case. And also the people and the company that are interested in discovering national projects on the healthcare secondary data usage. And so this two first track will be open for everyone. The third track, the next one, AI interest group for imaging track, will be open only for a specific community. The main goal of this track is deploy and maintain AI application, connect AI application with the end user system, and collect and provide end users feedback. Participants in this track will be the members of the IHE community, but anyone interested in getting in touch with this community can send me an email, and after I will put in touch with Mark. Mark is the technical coordinator, not only of this track, but also of the entry AI community. The last track is the energy track. Is a particular track because it's not focused on healthcare world, but on the energy. It's related to us because the focus for this community is developing a standard of interoperability for the energy data. Another important thing that in the testing session, they will use Gazelle, but the testing session will be closed. But very important that this group will be organize a workshop on Thursday, so on June 6th. And this workshop will be all open for everyone. The aim of this workshop will be sharing the interoperability knowledge between different sectors, so between healthcare and energy, and also sharing the best practice and how to transfer the approach about the interoperability that IHE has built over these 20 years in another sector. So I think that is a very important moment also for the IHE community to share our knowledge with another word. The last slide. Okay. The complete program of the Plugathon will be published the first days of the next week. You will find the program in the Plugathon web pages, but also in our LinkedIn pages. Regarding the registration cost, we have 3 types of tickets. The first is for who want to participate in both educational and also testing session. The second type of ticket gives the opportunity to participate in all Plugathon educational section, so for every tracks, in person, so at Trieste. And the third type of ticket gives the opportunity to participate in all Plugathon educational section, but remotely. You can find the registration link in the slide, but also in the web pages. And on Eventbrite, you have the possibility to register participant and pay directly in Eventbrite, or register all the participants and request the invoice and pay after with the bank transfer. So we have different possibility. But if you have any question about how to register, how to pay, and in which track, you can contact me directly with an email, and I give you all other information. I think that, okay. So the registration is just open in March, and probably stay open until the end of the April, but probably also in May. We will share all communication about Plugathon in every our digital channels, and I think that we have finished.
Thank you, Arianna and Claudio. I have put the link to the Plugathon informational page in the chat, so the registration link is available as from this page as well. Does anyone have a question for Claudio or Arianna? There were no questions in the chat. Feel free to speak up. You can unmute yourself. On the EHDS track, you are finalizing the program, right? And normally there will be, there might be another webinar specifically on the content of the EHDS Plugathon. So please keep an eye on the Plugathon page, which will be updated in more detail on all the tracks, but more specifically on the EHDS one. The fire track is almost finalized. Am I correct, Claudio? Or you're still working on it with Mauro?
We are still working. We have set up the IHE profile that will be part of this track. We are working on the program, on the speech during this Plugathon, because we are include different experience in the usage of this profile, and so we finalize also this Plugathon probably next or the week after for all details.
Some people are writing in the chat. I think Plugathons are very beneficial to the community, as well to the users and vendors community. I remember the dynamics that were around the 2017 Plugathon in Venice. It was great, and not only thanks to the great Italian atmosphere, but so it's a great initiative.
Yeah, probably there is a joint between Venice and Trieste. All the two venues are on the sea. And so during the Plugathon and the Connectathon, you have the opportunity to see the sea in front, the sea side in front of you. So it's very, very productive environment.
Somebody asked in the chat, Claudio or Arianna, does participation in the open EHDS track require a Plugathon attendance fee? Yeah, I think the attendance fees are very low.
Yes. So if you want to participate in the second track, you have two possibilities. Also, only in the educational session, you can buy the second type of ticket, so educational activity in-person attendance. If you want to participate in the educational and also in the testing session, you can buy the first type of ticket.
So I think that answers your question, Michael. Okay. We have a question from Alain Ribaud. We are working on an interoperability profile for secondary use on oncology data. Perhaps we can share our first results during the EHDS track.
Okay, Alan, you can send an email to me and also to Mauro Zanardini. I put the mail in the chat with these topics. So obviously we can insert your experience inside or in the educational part and also in the testing session. But I think that the best thing is organize a call between me, Mauro, and you to see in the specific this topic.
Alain, if you want, you can unmute yourself and speak up. Huh? But
yes. I sent an email tomorrow. It was not on the HDS track, but on the fire track. But yes, I think that we can also exchange on the EHDS track because we are currently working with our local hospital in order to define an interoperability profile for the input and the output of an health data space. So we have a first result using Fire, and yes, I think that we can share it.
Great.
Very interesting.
Thank you, Alain. So as this is a great opportunity, I would call out to everyone here to make noise about it, promote it towards your community. I'm looking at IHE National Initiative chairs here. T, Jan, please make noise about it, promote it, and convince people to join us in Trieste. We have time for a final question. So if anyone wants to speak up, if not, we will close down the webinar. Thank you so much, Claudio and Arianna, and good luck with all the work that is still in front of you.
Cross finger.
And we hope to meet you on our next monthly webinar, which will take place on the 17th of May on the Gazelle tooling. The registration link will be made available on our IHE-Europe webinar page. I posted the link just now in the chat. Thank you so much. Have a great Friday and a good, wonderful weekend afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.